Okay, for those of you who've been following, Justin Trudeau's polling numbers across the country have been cratering as the cost of living crisis spirals out of control. And Justin Trudeau had been under a lot of pressure across the country, but particularly in Atlantic Canada, to remove the carbon tax on home heating fuel because it is just has a huge impact on all parts of the country, carbon tax on heating, but in Atlantic Canada. And Atlantic Canada has typically been a big base of Liberal support for the Liberal Party. And there was actually Liberal MPs that were breaking ranks with Trudeau on the issue. So he was under tremendous pressure in his caucus to do something about the carbon tax. But here's what he decided to do. Those of you who've been following this, Justin Trudeau late last week said, okay, I'm going to scrap the carbon tax on home heating fuels for 3 years for Atlantic Canada only. Okay, so if you're watching this, first of all, from Atlantic Canada, okay, so he says it's a pause. What's Justin Trudeau going to do? Is he going to come to you for your vote and say, vote for me, I'm going to reinstate the carbon tax on home heating? Like, is that what he's going to do? But if you're watching from the rest of the country, what about natural gas? Winter is coming. It's cold. If we're truly a country, he can't just scrap, or put a pause on the carbon tax in one part of the country and not for the rest, right? This has become such an issue that recently, actually in the last 24 hours, Premier Scott Moe from Saskatchewan, other premiers across the country as well, have they've said, look, if we're going to play this game, we're not going to collect the carbon tax. And this is like really a huge national debate. So today, just moments ago in Ottawa, Trudeau's Minister of Natural Resources, Jonathan Wilkinson, was caught in a media scrum and said, like, look, reporter asked, are you going to do something for the rest of the country regarding the carbon tax and heating, especially as winter's coming? And you know what he said? No, the answer was no. So I want to break this down for you because this is how pathetic the Liberal government has become on a variety of policies. But so clearly what they did in Atlantic Canada, given the cost of living crisis, like, this was completely a political ploy, right? Like it completely a political ploy. And if you followed one of Trudeau's ministers from Atlantic Canada, she was super brazen over the last couple of days, and she just said, look, if people want the carbon tax removed, they need to vote Liberal, even though it's been Conservatives who have been arguing this for years. But in saying that, she directly tied the reason for the policy to voting Liberal, which is like egregiously bad. No matter how you vote, that's just, like mind-blowingly bad. So, but now you've got Justin Trudeau's Natural Resources Minister saying, no, there's not going to be any other exemption for the carbon tax on heating. And it's just like, this is a government that clearly is in desperation mode. We understand, the Conservative Party of Canada, like, we understand that the carbon tax writ large is not working in Canada. It's not reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and it's also costing you a lot of money on so many different things, right? Like, because the carbon tax on, let's say, grain drying, that's passed along to who? You, the consumer. The carbon tax on transport to get fruits and vegetables or food, where does that go? You, the consumer. And because Canada is not a small European country, and the Liberals have failed on things like infrastructure, on all sorts of different technology that could help to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by providing substitute goods, they're just taxing something that you need to buy anyway. So that doesn't change consumer behavior. It just makes things more expensive for you. And now, over the weekend, they've admitted through all of these series of things I've talked about that this isn't some sort of environmental policy. This is really about politics for them. And the Conservative Party of Canada, like, look, for years, you guys know, we've said no to this. So over the weekend as well, the Conservative Party of Canada came out and said, look, we're willing to work with the government to put forward and fast track a bill to get rid of the carbon tax on home heating products so that the cost of living for you can come down as quickly as possible. Of course, now Jonathan Wilkinson, the Natural Resources Minister, was like, oh no, only in Atlantic Canada. and only for a few years, maybe, we're not sure. Like that's just no, right? I think it's really important for people to understand that this is what the Liberal government is doing right now. This is not a government that's focused on long-term planning or support for the country. It doesn't have a long-term vision for the economy. It certainly doesn't have a plan to address the inflationary crisis. So I'm about to head into question period. I'm sure that question period is going to be focused on this today, but please share this video. It's important for people to understand just how crazy the Liberal government has become and how just like this is super extra. So anyway, share this video. You can bet that Conservatives are going to be focused on this in question period today, and we will keep pushing for the Liberal government to scrap this tax, which is costing you a lot of money and is not actually getting any results. Also, Justin Trudeau, I can't even. Anyway, working hard for you in Ottawa. Share this video. Have a great day.